Something else that you do right there at the beginning, or rather the narrator does, right there at the start, is he right in the opening note tells the reader that you'd rather walk away, that they'd rather the reader walk away now. And I thought, oh, that's either an extremely confident move or an extremely move.
Yeah, that the wolf's voice just being kind of snarky was the first thing that came to me when I wrote this version of the story. And so when the wolf first said that, I thought the same thing. I thought, well, that's very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to keep it. But then when almost the first thing that happens is we encounter a very intense death, I'm like, well, that works perfectly. I have warned people that you may want to walk away now. So it felt like it worked for the story.
Yeah, you can't be held accountable. I told you.
You've been warned, readers.
And then I know that it was wasn't until your second full draft that you decided that the wolf needed to be an omniscient narrator. Did I have that time right?
I think maybe the wolf was somewhat omniscient in the first story, but it wasn't something I was really cognizant of. In fact, I'm not even sure if I really completely knew the wolf was omniscient when I was writing the second draft, because I remember a point I was either going back through my revisions or I was in the middle of writing it and I was like, oh my goodness, how does the wolf know what he's thinking? Oh no, I'm writing an omniscient narrator. Because that's always a little bit terrifying, especially as an unpublished author. You're told, kind of stay away from the omniscient. It's really, really hard to write. And that's true because you can be accused of head hopping. It can be really hard to close that distance between the reader and the character on the page. If you're using an omniscient narrator, you don't always feel as close to the character as you want to. So I knew it was a really risky move, but the thing was I was having so much fun writing the wolf's voice that I didn't care. I thought, even if this story doesn't go anywhere, none of my previous 5 stories went anywhere, that's fine. I need to write this story because I'm really having fun with it.
How did you try to overcome that risk and make sure you mitigated the potential fallout of having a perspective that's a bit removed from your main character?
I did a lot of research, so I read a lot of other books, anything I could get my hands on middle grade with omniscient narrators, and I just studied how they did it. I read a lot of blogs, honestly, just spent a lot of time on the web listening to how people thought about omniscient narrators. So very often in middle grade, it's not done. And when you do it, like I did, where you're sort of constantly dipping into a close third person, you're very often accused of head hopping, and middle grade readers don't tend to like that. Whereas if you move into some adult genres, that's very common, it's expected. So I thought, well, it might not always be done, but if I can be really careful how I do it, maybe I can make it work. And so what I really focused on was making sure when I was going to move from the wolf's perspective to the main character's perspective, or sometimes even to other perspectives, I made sure to really try to signal it clearly so that the reader wasn't confused, that they would know, okay, now we're in Gage's head. Now we're going to hear more about Gage. So that's how I managed it. And I think it worked out okay.
Well, I mean, we can't know for sure, but it is coming out.
That's right.
It's already out as teamed audience. So
well,
it's worked so far.
It's interesting because when my editor first purchased the book, she said, I'm going to go back and do a read now and write up your edit letter. Is there anything you'd like me to keep an eye on? And so that was the only concern I shared with her. Am I doing any head hopping? And she didn't even address that in the edit letter at all. So I feel pretty confident that, at least from her perspective, it seemed to be working.